Long days and pleasant nights, all you travelers. I'm Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is the man who's not forgotten the face of his father, Kyle JCRB Krause.
Whoa, changing up the intro. Whoa, no. What's the occasion, Ian? What's going on?
Oh, you'll see. The wheel of Ka has turned and brought us back to this point. But first, we have to do the basic intro. How are you? Are you good?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm excited to get all these questions that are brought to us by our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members.
Are you? Are you really? Are you?
Kyle, you've already heard how I introduced the show. You know which question I'm trying to get to.
Chomping at the bit. Unfortunately, it's pretty deep into the show, so you're just going to have to sit tight for a while. You got to talk about Sonic for a bit first. Sorry. Here's Jack the Animator to start us off with a question. To me, Sonic and Mimic were born with unique gifts but have different perspectives on friendship. These two have yet to cross paths. If they ever do meet face to face, what would they say to each other involving their own experiences on friendship, and how would it go down in a fight with each other?
I don't think either of them would launch into a discussion.
No.
Like, this is assuming Sonic knows everything to do with Mimic. You know, Whisper's not really telling everyone about it, and I don't think Tangle would just kind of go, "So, Sonic, how you been? Did you know Whisper has a tragic backstory?" I mean, she's got some tact, a smidgen, a small amount. But just for the sake of this, we'll assume that Sonic knows, and, you know, he's Sonic, so Mimic obviously knows who he is. So Sonic would, you know, call him a jerk to his face. Like, this is a scumbag, and he knows it, and he's not going to get bent out of shape over it, because he beats up scumbags all the time. He's going to, you know, toy with him as he does with all villainy. And Mimic, who knows that Sonic likes to talk and show off, is going to try to play that against him as he lures him into some kind of spiky doom pit. And Sonic will, of course, escape and kick his butt, and Mimic will try to transform into various people to mess with him, and Sonic will still manage to kick him in the face because he knows his friends better than anybody. He knows Tails wouldn't suddenly appear out of nowhere and get in the middle of a spin dash. Or, if that is Tails, whoops, sorry, buddy, I'll apologize later. It all comes out in the wash in the end. And Mimic's like, how do you function? And Sonic's like, about 60 RPMs.
Yeah. 60,000 RPMs.
That's if he's trying.
Yeah. Here's a question from Levi C. Dr. Starline wakes up after his last isekai trip in this weird place full of villains in a swamp. It's the last season of Justice League Unlimited. Lex just took over from Grodd, and Starline decides to join the Legion of Doom. How badly does it go?
Oh, this one writes itself.
Oh, boy.
I mean, here he is in these hallowed halls full of colorful characters with incredible skills and the desire to use them to get to their own ends. He's at home. This is exactly what he wants. All these like-minded individuals. It's great. It's just, okay, so there's one caveat. They all seem to be a little, you know, fixated on their own personal vendettas. If they could all just kind of come together on a singular goal, then that might be a little more effective. Like, think globally, not just a support group. You could do so much more. This Lex character, he's able to, you know, run the circus, but he doesn't have quite the vision that Starline has. And besides, he's just human. What, that tech can't be that advanced. It'd be quite simple to, you know, just cozy on out to Lex. He's gotten along with bald people before, and he'll seize power, and the Legion of Doom will be his. And Lex is like, "Sir, I usurped a gorilla with psychic powers. You are nothing to me." Bizarro, give our new friend a big hug. And thus, Starline is isekai'd off to his next adventure.
That didn't take long.
Bizarro, no, I'm going to show you so much hate. Oh, Bizarro fix his spine. Hello, Dr. Mooncurve.
Oh, boy. A big hug. Oh, Starline gets put in his place yet again. Every time. It's inevitable. Miles per hour Davis is here with a question. You've said you're Irish or have Irish family heritage. So have you watched Father Ted? Probably the best Irish comedy, so put it on the list. Yes, or would that be a ecumenical matter?
I'll put it on the list. I have not heard of it, but thank you for putting it on my radar.
Here's one from Missile the Sandcat. So we know Scourge is green from absorbing energy from the Master Emerald, and that this also gave him a permanent power boost. What I want to know is, with all this energy in him, could someone use Scourge as a kind of battery / poor man's emerald?
I don't think so. At least with my intention, it was more of a physical change. It wasn't like residual energy. It took someone who was a scrub and immediately put him on Sonic's level.
It's funny that he wasn't on Sonic's level, considering he was literally just Sonic, just a bad guy. But I guess it's that his mental state, his mentality.
Yeah, I mean, we could really get into how much of it was the mentality of them when they first met, and then, how much energy and mutation Sonic went through himself up to that point.
It's a good point.
And all the transformations and whatever and blah, 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 blah. But
forgot about those. Yeah. All right. Makes sense.
I don't want to put too much hard science on it, because ultimately it was bad character gets nice makeover. Now he's fun character.
Now he's one of the most talked about characters still to this day. Yeah, he's very popular. Here's one from Morless. We all know that Shadow is called the ultimate life form, but why is that so when Tangle is right there? Tell me, Flynn, who authorized such heresy? Oh, also, how would a team up between these two ultimate beings go?
Shadow is the ultimate life form. Tangle is the ultimate experience.
More of an experience than Windows XP.
And a team up would be delightful. The ultimate odd couple.
More so than Tangle and Whisper.
Yeah. I mean, at least theirs is wholesome. Imagine all the destructive capability we've already seen between Sonic and Tangle.
Yeah.
And now give it to Shadow, who's more decisive in his actions.
Yes. Less restrained.
I mean, once he realizes that he can get Tangle to, do something with clear direction, it's all over.
Oh no. Oh no.
Sonic would say, "Hey, launch me at that. That'll be cool." And Tangle would be like, "Yeah, it would be." Shadow would say, "Launch me." She'd go, "Yeah, okay." I mean, it works the same way. It's a little more direct.
I feel like Shadow's going to make Tangle do a lot of things she will regret. He is a bad influence. He is a very bad influence.
He just knows not to explain what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. Then she'll figure it out, and she'll be horrified at what she's done. What is this, Ian? You've created a monster. Wait, no, the monster was already there. You've just unleashed him. Never mind. All right, here's one from Mixmogs. Eggman seemingly has taken a liking to just grabbing people ever since he wrecked Starline. Eggman's also been shown to be able to one-arm lift metal without too much issue. Unless it's just an arbitrary number, metal weighs a bit over 275 pounds according to the wiki. How strong is Eggman actually? Because it's not just a made-up number. He's got to be low-key having the Kingpin build. Yet apparently when he does work out, it's mostly cardio. Does he curl metal while he sprints on the treadmill? Does he squat him while doing lunges? Does Metal low-key enjoy it since it's the closest he gets to affection from him besides the occasional head pat? These are the questions that haunt me.
Let's also not forget that he barehanded beat down an ice wall. There's some extra yolk to that egg white. I don't know what it is, but he's a beefy man.
Everyone's got super strength in Sonic's world, apparently.
Apparently.
Just about.
I don't know about using metal as a deadlift weight or something, but
that's funny.
I mean, maybe. I think it's even funnier if he just doesn't actively work out and he just kind of does this without thinking about it.
He just is that way.
Shut down. Yeah, like Metal shut down and is in his way, so he just like picks him up and moves him without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
As for affection, Metal Sonic has no desire other than to be the one true Sonic. If anything, he'd be kind of mortified to be used as a dumbbell.
This affection is not what he craves. He's not like Sage in that way.
I mean, Sonic learns of this and he spends a solid 30 minutes trying to figure out how to make Metal Sonic and Kettlebell into some kind of combo. Kettle Sonic? Kettlebell Sonic. Metal Belt. None of these are working. Yeah, now you're a real dumbbell. No, that's too easy. Low-hanging fruit. Come on, Sonic. Think.
He never gets there.
And see, Metal Sonic's figured out the perfect zinger reply, but he has no mouth and he can't speak it, and it gives him rage.
He has no mouth, but he must scream. I guess the pun doesn't work out.
No.
Thanks, chat.
Please, chat. Exercise restraint.
But here's one from Noni. Yeah, okay, I got nothing, but I did remember this one question that was asked during a mini, and it left me curious. So if it wouldn't be too much trouble, could you go off about the Tales series? Most I know of it was a borrowed copy of Symphonia that I barely remember, but it was fun enough.
Okay, so I'm no expert on the series. Mostly it was actually Aaliyah who got me into it. But, like, Cliff Notes version, it's a fantasy RPG series in the same vein of Final Fantasy, where they all share, like, similar naming conventions and items and mechanics, but each game is largely independent. There's a few sequels or prequels here and there, but largely you pick up a Tales title, you're in for a solid individual ride. And what makes it stand apart, or at least did at the time, was that it basically had Smash Brothers controls. Up, down, left, right, plus your normal and your special attacks. And the better games, in my opinion, were the ones that actually felt more like a fighting game, where you had to link up certain attacks so that you could get a better combo, so that you weren't just spamming that one special attack. You really built things so that they moved one into the other and got it to execute in just something truly glorious. And what was really appealing about a lot of the 3D titles, I don't know if any of the 2D titles did this, but with most of the 3D titles, you could have 4-player co-op.
Yeah.
Which got really freaking chaotic. But, you know, some of the most fun I've had was Aaliyah and I would co-op a game. And, you know, she would usually take lead. I'd hang back with healer or a spellcaster and kind of just spam in the background, but I was fine with that because, you know, I kind of like that cheap form of attack. And two, it kind of helped keep the camera a little more manageable, because when the camera's going, okay, you're attacking now, this is going here, it got a little chaotic, but
yeah,
in a fun way, in a structured way. And then later games really leaned into the co-op stuff, like the Zillia games especially. So that was good stuff. The stories are, of the ones I've played at least, are generally pretty solid. The characters are fairly enjoyable throughout. The music is pretty consistently great.
Thank you, Motoi Sakuraba and Goshina and a few others.
Like, I would argue that's the sole defining redeemable trait of Legendia, but don't at me. And there's a lot of them too, so you can kind of pick and choose where you want to jump in. I recommend maybe starting with Tales of Symphonia. It was the first step into 3D. As I said in this mini, which I don't know when it will be published, so I'll just go ahead and retread this old ground. If you can, play the GameCube version. It runs at 60 frames per second, and it doesn't have any of the text errors. It doesn't have all the extra costumes and events and stuff that later versions have, but it's the better version of the game. And it's aged really well, too. Yeah. Other anniversary and re-releases add more content, more costumes, more scenes, more attacks, but it gets sloppier with each incarnation, which is just sad, because it is a really solid game. You can feel a bit of the datedness to it. You can feel a bit of the clunk as they move from 2D to 3D, but it has aged exceptionally well. It's a little slower paced than most action RPGs today, But if you want to get into the guts of it, really learn the mechanics, it's an incredibly satisfying game with, depending on where you go at a certain point, some very decisive changes in terms of the ending and characters.
Yeah.
Personally, my favorite was Tales of the Abyss in terms of mechanics. I felt like that refined Symphonia before it started going down the path that it got to today. Vesperia is the next logical step in the mechanics. It's slower to get started, but once you get to the final third of the game and you've really unlocked all the tools at your disposal, you can literally juggle enemies into the skybox. You can go nuts. It's ridiculous. And they went for a very distinct cel-shaded look, and it looks gorgeous today. It was a 360 game, and it still looks immaculate. It's fantastic.
Thank you, cel-shaded graphics, for that timeless look.
My personal favorite cast out of any of them is from Tales of Berseria. But before you play that, I would say play Zestiria first, because that adds a lot of context that makes Berseria pop more.
Mm-hmm.
And with both of those games, put them on super easy and just cruise through the gameplay itself, because they aren't that great in terms of game, which hurts to say. Like, Zestiria is beautiful, and man, the music is astounding in a few particular places, but it's kind of broken. And Berseria isn't quite as memorable, like visually or audibly, from what I can remember. And the gameplay's kind of Yeah. At least providing color commentary. But that is my favorite cast, bar none. Oh, it's you play as the bad guys, really, when you get down to it. It's the innocent little cherub boy and all of his evil uncles and aunties, and it's this great found family plays the bad guys group, and I don't want to spoil any of it. It's great.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe eventually I'll decide to freaking play them. They're so long, though. Why are they so long?
Yeah. Like, if you cruise through it on easy, it'll take you like 60 hours to do most of it. It's an RPG, man. It's a time.
So? Why? It doesn't have to be that long. It just is.
Look, we need to move on to the next question, or I'm going to spend another 30 minutes telling you why Eisen is the manliest man to ever man.
All right. I feel like you did that recently, though, didn't you? Wasn't that on the?
I can do it on multiple times.
I know what you can do. I'm surprised you're letting me continue and not going off even further on this, but I guess we do have a lot more to get to. So anyway. Let's move on to this question here from Professor Scruffymet. Can you guys talk about some of the most wholesome Sonic and Tails moments across the entire franchise, and which you think is best? Some suggestions: Tails' New Home from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Drudenge from Shadow AM, The Resolution of House of Cards from Pre-Boot Archie, Champions from Post-Boot Archie, and of course their Heart-to-Heart and Sonic Frontiers. Feel free to add any others you can think of, and thanks. Well, you mentioned like most all of them.
I was going to say, you kind of hit the high notes. Now, I've made it no secret that I'm not a big fan of Adventures of, but that episode you cited is one I distinctly remember enjoying because of the Sonic and Tails moment.
Yep.
Where that whole big third act turn is because of Sonic's relationship with Tails and realizing that something is wrong because of that connection, because of that shared history. I was disappointed that the parents turned out to be like ants. Robot ants at random. It's like, could you do something more interesting? But the core of it, that family aspect, was really neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the scene in Frontiers, and I know exactly which one you're talking about. That one, I am very happy how it turned out, because it was an incredibly stressful balancing act. Because it was citing a whole bunch of game material that had to be contextualized in such a way that it was easily consumable by those who don't remember or those who are new to the series, and still feel like a genuine moment between the two of them without just being trotting out random angst.
Mm-hmm.
And a huge part of that goes to the voice direction and the talent and the director for getting the scene to play out as well as it did. Everybody came together to make that moment shine. But when we were coming up to it, I'm like, if I don't do this right, it's going to be real bad. So I feel like I was able to lay that solid foundation, and I am proud of that.
You have done it, sir. That was a great moment between them. So I really think you, Scruffy, already beat us to the punch, though. Trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because, like, unfortunately, I don't have any Sonic X moments to cite. I've not seen enough of it, so I can't really say that much about it. But
the other thing that immediately springs to mind is, like, when Sonic is there kind of stoically to support Tails after Cosmo is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a while since I've seen X.
Well, maybe some people have some more down in the comments, and they can leave them down there. Scurvy Pirate Dog has a question. Eggman is with Sage at the supermarket shopping for groceries for the weekend, but at the same time, Starline with his kids, Serge and Kit, are also shopping for groceries at the same supermarket. How awkward is it when the two groups bump into each other?
Well, Starline's losing it because, of course, they would have to be in the same store at the same time. All right, you two be on your best behavior. Where did they go?
They're gone.
I can't have them embarrassing me in front of the former boss, ex-boss. I'm an ex-boss. Where are they? And meanwhile, Sage is sitting in the grocery cart that's shaped like a car so that you can pretend to drive it. Father, your ex-employee is in aisle 7. Yeah, I know. I saw him. We're just going to keep our heads down and get to the exit. And Starline is running around the store trying to get Serge and Kit to, stop making problems. Don't turn off the freezers. That's going to make things smell. No, you can't have that candy. No, you can't have that cereal. No, you can't have that tinfoil. What would you even do with tinfoil? Oh, conduct electricity. That actually makes sense. No, you can't have that tinfoil. Finally gets them wrangled in. They're like hard bolted to the grocery cart. They're finally going to go back to where he was a moment ago, and Eggman's already gone. He's packed the car. Well, it's an Eggmobile, but you know what I mean. It's an Eggmobile seated into a hatchback chassis, and he's already gone home.
That's like a minivan. Of course. And then Starline gets isekai'd into another reality. I don't know how.
See, Kit turned off the freezer. There's all that water on the floor. He slips and falls.
Oh, okay. There we go.
No, I just sprained my hip. I'm fine. And that's when Serge comes back with the tinfoil.
Oh, no. Let her chew the tinfoil. Oh, no. Oh, no. I hear the Sonic Spinball options music in the background growing louder and louder. Oh boy, before it gets any worse, let's take a break and we'll come back with more of the BumbleKast. All right, let's move on to next one here from Stardust Spectre. The freedom fighters, including Sonic, Tails, and Amy, decide to play a game of Dungeons & Dragons. What race and class do our heroes choose for themselves? Who DMs, and how does the campaign go? Now, we've done this before.
We already covered this. Check out the July 8th from 2022 episode and the question asked by Chaos of the Wind.
Alrighty. Here's one from Stephen A. This is the one you've been waiting for, Ian.
Thank you, Sai.
I haven't been well, and so I decided to finish rereading Stephen King's The Dark Tower. I could spoil it, and nobody would freaking believe me. And it got me wondering, have either of you read it, and if so, do you hold it in much high regard? And if you have read it, who are your favorite characters, and what moments stuck to you? I still vividly picture Roland, aka Clint Eastwood, opening the door in the Drawing of the Three, and here's this stoic, terrifying Terminator character actually screaming in fear. If you guys haven't read it or have no idea what I'm talking about, then, I don't know, talk about something that gives you serotonin and good vibes, like steamed hams or Homestar. Like, would Trogdor stave Skinner's steamed hams fiasco by just burninating the burgers? I don't know where the heck I'm going with this.
A valiant attempt, but don't worry, we're on the rails. Hey, before I go nuts, have you read this? I can't remember.
No, but I just want to say real quick, and Tails, add 1 to the count. Anyway, go on.
Yes. I have a deep love-hate relationship with the Dark Tower series.
Yes, indeed you do.
So I started off with the original trilogy when it was just the trilogy. And because there was a sizable gap, I don't know, 6 years between 3 and 4. Anyway, point is, I read the original version of the first book, the one that was much more experimental, I guess, before he went back and revised it to make it sync with so much more that came after the fact. And I don't begrudge that revision. It makes perfect sense. But I kind of like the oddness, the kind of almost blindly groping through the dark that is the narrative of the original incarnation of the book, because it makes everything feel a little unsettled, a little unknown. Each discovery is kind of horrifying and unsure each and every time. And it all makes sense because this world is falling apart. Reality itself is unraveling, so it doesn't have to make perfect sense. And what is there, what is lucid, is all the more frightening because this is what's tangible. This is what's still concrete. And the fact that Roland is not a good guy, like him and Jake in the caves, there's no coming back from that. He tries, and that's one of the most beautifully tragic things about the whole series. But, oof, and I'm going to try to avoid spoilers because if you haven't read it, it is a fascinating dark fantasy series. Drawing of the Three is a bit slow for me, to be honest, door by door by door, but it sets up so much to come after. And as you said, someone like Roland being unabashedly terrified of something is like, the Lobstrosities will haunt me forever, man. Did a tick, dot a chod, bad touch, no good, scary. The Wastelands, I don't want to say it was my favorite of them, but it felt like the most robust exploration of what had been established up to this point. And if you were to pitch the concept of Blaine to anybody cold turkey, they'd probably laugh at you. Oh, that's not scary. But you know, man, you and I both know Blaine is freaking terrifying. And the ending of book 3, man, that's how you do a hook for a sequel. That's how you that's good. Also, Oi is nothing but wholesome goodness, and I want to have a Billy Bumbler myself. Please make this happen, King Senpai. Wizarding Glass, I cannot read again. It utterly gutted me. It broke my heart, and I don't want to do that again, because this time I know it's coming, and you can't change anything because the book's written. You know what's going to happen, and that's even worse. So, no. I read it once. I know what happens. Fantastic read. I would argue it is the best book out of the whole series. Easy. But it is... it goes for the guts, and it does not hold back. It's a painful book, and it's mostly flashback, too. Anyway, there's the kind of side story went through the keyhole, but we're going to stick to just the main series here. Wolves of the Kala is where I feel like it starts to fall off, because this was after he survived that horrific hit and run, and he felt pressured to finish the story, because everything up to this point he was just kind of feeling it out. It was this purely artistic, experimental, expressionist piece. He was letting the story find itself, at least according to the interviews I've read. Wolves of the Kala onward is him going, no, I need to finish this, because he is now very acutely aware of his own mortality. And I feel like it robs some of the magic from it. And that's an incredibly selfish point of view. I fully admit that. But it doesn't have the same feel to it as the other books did. Wolves of the Kala is still solid. It's a good story about the Katet. What was the robot's name? Andy? Man, that was, he got real scary real fast there at the end. But it kind of felt like he was more consciously trying to construct the story and tie the threads together. And it didn't quite have the same feel for me. Song of Susanna feels like a bridging book. I think it's largely forgettable, to be perfectly honest. And the Dark Tower itself, I wasn't really satisfied with. it wasn't the conclusion I was hoping for. I don't know what it was. I don't know what I wanted out of it, to be perfectly honest. And the ultimate ending, the tragedy of it, the horror of Roland's quest is interesting. I will give it that. But I kind of feel like the final book is nothing but subverting expectations and in a disappointing way. I almost feel like it's too aware of what it is and gets too meta with itself. But that's just my opinion. Who am I to critique freaking Stephen King? Come on now. But I just kind of feel like the last of the series rushed to the finish line just to see it done. But, what's the alternative? Take your gamble with fate and see if you can just happen to divine the rest of the books before you get old or something tragedy befalls you. I can't fault him for wanting to finish his magnum opus. So, in summation, Gunslinger, really weird, freaky book. Really enjoy it. Would understand why the original edition wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea. And if you're going to go start to finish, you might as well get the later revised version just so it's more cohesive. Drawing of the Three, really weird, but also in a fascinating sort of way. Lots of scenes still stick with me to this day. Just the imagery of the doors on the beach is amazing. Wastelands, really solid dark fantasy. Wizard and Glass, beautifully horrible book. I love it. I hate it. Wolves of the Kala, solid enough sequel book. Song of Susanna, honestly don't remember much of it aside from see the turtle of enormous girth upon his back he holds the earth. And book 7, you got to wrap it up somewhere. Favorite characters, Roland, just because he's such a fascinating guy. He's not a good guy. He is the protagonist, but he's not a hero. And it's really sad when he tries to be. And I don't want to explain that further because I think it's more interesting to leave it at that. And I am a sucker for Randall Flagg in any incarnation he comes in. I always thought the Walking Man was a cool villain, no matter which King book he showed up in. Did not like his exit from the series in this particular one, but that kind of ties into my feelings over the end of the series anyway. So, worth a read at the very least. Thank you, Sai, for bringing this one up.
This is you've been chomping at the bit for this one. I'm glad. Here's a question from Supernova. Since Shard missed out on the Mega Man fun due to being erased from the timeline, how would he have interacted with Dr. Light and his kids if he met them during Worlds Unite?
Oh, he would have been the coolest uncle.
I was going to say, this seems like a real wholesome sort of thing.
Like, imagine the supportive and super chill big brother everyone wishes Blues was. Like, he can help you tune up your weapons. He is totally there to help you kick all sorts of robot ass, but he also is completely on board with the pacifism thing. Like, he will pull the trigger just so Rock doesn't have to because he wants to save the little blue boy's coded soul. He would be just the ultimate big uncle, cool bro dude, awesome, wholesome. Need this now. Why do we not have access to this anymore?
Oh, man. What have you done to me, Ian? Done so much to me.
Blame Supernova. He brought it up.
Oh, okay. Supernova, curse you. All right, here's one from the Phantomist. Hey, Ian, your pleas have been answered. Kinda. SEGA has given you the green light to use some past non-game material in IDW, though it's not what you think. SEGA has tasked you with introducing Knuckles' brother, Crucules, from the Brazilian Triple Trouble manual into the IDW/Gameverse. How would you do it?
Do we have to stick with the name?
Of course we have to stick with the name.
Okay. So I actually had to look this one up. This was obscure even for me. And
it is very obscure, yes.
The manual story, and thank you, Sonic fans, for cataloging this and translating this. You guys are amazing. But Crucules is Knuckles' younger brother, and Knuckles was on vacation during Triple Trouble, And so Eggman convinced Crucules that Sonic and Tails were after the Chaos Emerald, tricking him into fighting them. I'm assuming that the Brazilian folks did this because they didn't want it to just be a retread of Knuckles. Knuckles getting tricked in the exact same way, so they just handed it to somebody else. Which, points for trying. But it is Knuckles' character arc. It's just one step younger. So I still think you could have fun with that, because Knuckles has come a long way since his first adventures. He's still a little gullible, but he's far more worldly wise. He's far more savvy about the world around him. And Crucules would be, number one, the first living echidna he's seen. Tikal doesn't count, she's undead. And family, which are both foreign concepts to him, and falling for the exact same traps that he did. And this gives him this great place to not only be a mentor in the ways of the world, but also the doting older brother, because he doesn't want Crucules to make the same mistakes he did. Whereas Crucules is someone who, for whatever reason, is just now back in the narrative, has an older brother to impress or perhaps surpass. Depends on how wholesome the relationship is or if it's antagonistic. Both are fun. And that eagerness to excel could be one of the reasons why he isn't deciding to look before he leaps and falls for Eggman's tricks. Or Eggman's the whole reason why he's back, and therefore he trusts Eggman over his own family, even though you would think that blood runs thicker than water. There's a lot of directions you could take with it. It could be fun. I just don't like Crucules. I hate that name.
I'm not even sure if that's actually how it is supposed to be pronounced, but it's better than kneecaps.
Crucules? I can't really contest that.
It's fine. It's fine compared to that. Anyway, here's a question from The Shimmer. Hello, Ian. Do you think the concepts and knowledge in our world exist in Sonic's world, and that knowledge is accessible through books and the like in Sonic? Their world is similar to ours and even a bit more advanced, so I'd say that at the very least, similar things can exist there.
Yes.
If you say so. I don't know. There's one from Thievius. At the end of Majora's Mask, the hero of time is never seen again. But it has been said that he reappears as the hero of Shade / Hero's Spirit in Twilight Princess. And he's a ghost! Meaning that he's lived out his whole life and died and we never saw it. My question is, if you were given the chance to create your own original story about the hero of time that takes place after Majora's Mask but before Twilight Princess, how would you do it? That's a big chunk of time right there.
I'm going to take it on faith that this is the progression, because it's been a long time since I looked at the Zelda timeline, and even that is kind of a sure, okay, we'll run with that. Why not? So yeah, we'll just assume Majora's Mask leads into Twilight Princess. I don't know if the geography for that works out. I don't know how well the Twilight really fit into that kind. You know what? We're not going to worry about it, because this is a question about Link. Now, this is Link having left Terminia and time has passed. I prefer Terminia. I don't care if it is Termina.
It is Termina.
I don't care. I like Terminia.
I'm going to have a...
I learned it wrong as a child. I'm sticking to it.
I'm going to have a Termina if you don't correct yourself. I don't know what that means.
Terminia limit. The point is, the hero Shade is clearly someone who is battle experienced. And I'm assuming that the armor on this frail frame is what he had last. So I could imagine a story of young Link who has seen some stuff up to this point. Like all of Ocarina and all of Majora's Mask. This kid's got baggage.
Mm-hmm.
He is a 40-year-old in a 14-year-old body. And, seeing someone with that baggage try to grow up and be a balanced individual. Someone who has the maturity and the experience of someone much more his senior, but still trapped as a child and thus, being overlooked or dismissed or not taken seriously, which can lead to all sorts of fun, underdog stories.
Yeah.
And I like to think he finds a community that is something that can help him flourish. Like whether he founds it himself, maybe he creates something and it grows. He founds a town and it kind of flourishes around him because he has the strength and the wisdom and the courage of like 2 lifetimes to help manage this.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And, really cultivate something good in the world. And, there are monsters out there who would take advantage of it. And so he has the experience to fend off said beasties. And so he is this champion. And give him something worth fighting for beyond just he's the good guy. Maybe he has created something personal and precious to him and he wants to defend it. It's something more than just a sense of duty or a sense of righteousness. It's something that he has made. He has something good here. He knows what can happen to something good. He saw what happened to Hyrule under Ganondorf. He's not going to let it happen again. But there's also this weariness because he's been fighting for so long. Mm-hmm. He has seen so many battles. He's endured so much pain, and it's yet another battle. But it's worth it. He has to. He's not going to walk away from this. He can't. And you know what? For this big, final, amazing fight that shows just what an absolute badass Link has grown into, Navi's back, and they work together, and they defeat the evils, and he's able to live to a ripe old age, and he goes peacefully, but he's still just such a strong spirit, he can't just quietly pass on into whatever comes next. He knows that he's going to be needed again, and so he endures to help the next incarnation of himself do the good that needs to be done.
All right. I like it. I enjoy it. Good job. You've done it. True Cosmic Digi has a question. Ian, as a fellow Genshin Impact fan, you may play or heard about Hoyoverse's other game, Honkai Impact 3rd. I was wondering if Sonic crossover with Honkai Impact 3rd, how the gang that being turned into humans, what weapon type they be, along with how Eggman take the technology there and give it to Sage, her brother, along with her older sister Tribot, to be applied to Sonic while trying to take over the world.
I'm sorry, I know diddly about Honkai Impact, other than it's a turn-based game. It's like, ooh, that might be fun, but time? Like, keeping up with Genshin's one thing, but Tears of the Kingdom just came out. Okay?
Come on, man.
I barely have time for one or the other, so Honkai Impact 3rd is kind of on the that would be nice list, but I don't think I'm getting to it anytime soon. So, sorry, I can't even begin to speculate because I know nothing outside of its turn-based, and there's a space train? Maybe?
Yeah, I think it's more of a sci-fi thing, and also
I think fantasy maybe.
Yeah. No, wait, hold on. I might be thinking of Honkai Star Rail, which, by the way, I cannot read Honkai properly. I really have to try to not say honky.
And I just realized, yes, I'm thinking of Star Rail. That's the turn-based.
Yeah, Star Rail is a different one.
Honkai Impact is
different.
Yeah, so I know even less about that. Wow.
Yeah. I think that's I think there's still more of a sci-fi bent to him.
Yeah. Regardless, I can't help you, but if everyone else listening is more familiar with it, please comment below on what you think would be a good correlation between the two games.
And apparently, Honkai Impact 3rd is older than Genshin.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh, well. Here's a question from Twilord. Given that for Shadow's personal POV timeline, he's younger than Maria was, does he prefer the younger title Master to Mister? Or perhaps the more earned Agent or the more innate Project?
I don't think he's hung up on any titles or honorifics. I seem to remember somebody saying that in the Japanese, the word choices he uses is more of a older person's, but that detail is kind of lost to me. I don't think he sees himself as younger. I think he sees himself as older because he is very much aware of the 50-year thing.
Mm-hmm. I've been around for 50 years. You were asleep for most of that. So?
I mean, ultimately, I don't think he is too hung up on any qualifiers, whether it be title or age or anything. This is who he am.
I don't think he cares. He has zero cares. All right.
I am what I am, and that's all that I am.
Damn it. Shadow just wants you to get off his lawn. That's really what it is. And our last question for this episode comes to us from William M. Out of the main Sonic cast, IDW, OCs, and the Freedom Fighters, who is more likely to watch Doctor Who? I need to know for scientific purposes.
I imagine Tails is a huge Whovian.
Is Rotor?
I don't know. I think Rotor likes it because Tails likes it.
Yeah.
But he can't get past the timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think Tails can still get into the adventure. Rotor just can't handle the soft sci-fi.
The lack of science in this science fiction.
I think Sally's kind of in the same boat. She enjoys the stories, but she can't quite get into it the same way that Tails does. Whereas Amy wants to be the companion, for pity's sake. Let her in the TARDIS. She wants to go on that adventure.
Amy Pondrose?
Tangle wants to be the Doctor. Like, she just wants to be an incarnation. That would be just so cool.
Yeah, Eggman takes huge inspiration from the Daleks and the Cybermen.
Oh, sure. No, if he can't take control of them himself, at least he can find a way to recreate them, surely.
Yep. Sonic is confused by this screwdriver. Doesn't look like me at all.
Knuckles doesn't understand how it's bigger on the inside. It makes no sense.
Surge and Kit and Starline? I feel like Surge would hate it.
Surge isn't big on TV, I don't think.
No.
Kit would absolutely love it, but Surge doesn't, so he can't.
Yeah, Kit is super fan number one.
And Starline's confused. Is this man a living isekai? I don't understand the premise. He dies and comes back, but it's within his same reality. That's not fair.
Is Styx just confused because the Doctor keeps changing every once in a while, every few years? It's a different person.
No, Styx is sitting back there saying, that grinding sound is the parking brake. I totally called it. None of y'all believed me. I was right.
Oh, man.
Meanwhile, Antoine's like, of course he is British.
Ugh. Oh, boy. Is there anybody else I can't think of? I can't think of anybody.
They've cast in that for like 50-something characters. I think we've covered it.
Yeah, I think that's good enough. I mean, Bunny, I guess.
If we're talking like classic Bunny, sure, the sonic screwdriver is impressive, but look what her arm can do.
Yeah, I was going to say.
She can't drop her own arm. She's got one over on the Doctor. Hoo-ha.
Yep. All right, I think that's enough for now.
Before we wrap up, though, we need to give a big thank you to all our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members. Big thank you to Daniel H., Jennifer R., James K., John B., Robotnicum, Sam Cybercat, Samuel P., Torchbound, Mike B., Andrew D., Salutra Cat, Dave M., Noni, J. Frost, Coupling Crew 128, Duas Dizdin, Hero of Light 13, Professor Scruffy Matt, Chris A., Sony, Scurvy Pirate Hog, John M., Triforce Riku, Sonic, Ben Wolfsbane, Arc Fighter, Jib, Lisa M., Lee H.K., Twilords, Chaos Sonic 1, Stardust Spectre, Chevelle, Ink Things, Mixer17, Axis, Starlight Sec, Z Broadcast, Xandardi the Painter, Jonathan D, Cameron H, Jolene B, Joshua S, Tick Tick, The Name is X, Solaris Stain, Godzilla, Nondal Nemrick, Alex KR, Ava Arctic Dove, Just a Mountain Soul, Quaggle Gaggle, Yuma221, Jay the Redneck, Jennifer H, Justin S, Dadler the Dalek, Angela V, Sonic Legacy, Alpha Mono Yukon, Jack the Animator, Tetsuya the Wise, Pedantic Cat, Hannah W, V Nuss, Omega Watt, Les, Daniel B, Red the Supernamic, Wildcard 717, Chad of the Stars, Endabin and Tails, Genzel, Wheelie Dose, Andrew BH, Sammy M, Public the Scholar, Derusiful, Miles the Prower, Navari, Exidel, Agent Kaz, Domo AU, For Sonic Fan, Rhythm and Tempo, Illegal Chow Fights, Pigdan 20, Preston M, The Marble Gardener, Noah M, E200 Paragon, Ozjam, Shimmy M, Kojiro Highwind, Awesome Caser, Curly Quill, Supersonic Fan, Radry, Chase L, Aiden S. Morless, Smiley 21, Sonic 84, Philip is Cold, Sterling Sonic, Rocco D, Conga, Windskull, Supernova, Superior Pizza, Sonic Patch, The Golf, Omega Man 21, Thievius, Dominic the Raccoon, Planet Breezy, In Zephyr, Unity, Jason G, Nils, Subliminal, Gino the Puppet, Miggy Sawdust, Amazing, Miss Nazumi, SB My Fish Eats Rocks, The ID Card, Jonathan F, Hip Kid Brick, Levi C, Vlad, Sameth S, Dead Air, Lemur Chicken, Sheen, Adrian W, Knuckle Sandwich 87, Luke R, Michael P, Fang, Chell Pangolin, M Bluet, Miles Full Prower, Cool Christy 1, Ashter, Alejandro 333777, Loose, Noah I, Lacey M, Lucky Lychee, Trocon H, Blaj High, Blast, The Phantomist, Spiral, Native Nerd 27, Salato 02, Ultra Guy, William M, Crabo, Raccoon Shinobi, No Person, Marcy H, Caswell, Mr. Murder Bird, The Giant Murdering Bird, Noob 600, Silvermoon 2K1, Pit Viper, Icy Wolf, No Soul 15, Relaxed Hoodie, CS Lewis Fan, Sonic Mini 2099, Hedronus, Paley, Calico Paintbrush, Jihane S, Snowpair, Riley J, The Man of Multimedia, Foofy 93, Mr. Snippy, Florian, Call Me Ryan, All Peachy, Onion Girl, Candy B, Jamal S, Wheels 282, Hedgehog, Meta Mode, Frost the Hobbit Danny the Light, Buttered Noodles, Miles Power D, El Technopada, True Cosmic Digilab 79, Travis H, Hero Squad, Kaizen Amen, Hearts 13, Missile the Sandcat, and Tyler M.
Impressive. Very, very impressive. That is not a list of people to exterminate. That is a list of people to celebrate.
Thank you all very much for supporting the show. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Long days and pleasant nights. And we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Take care, everybody. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Hey there, Doc. You're shake and bake, and I helped. Clean up aisle 3 and 4. Bit of on the ceiling for 5.
Oh, juicy. Oh, yikes. Yikes.